In Revenge of the Sith, Obi Wan is sent to Utapau to fight General Grievous. In the following events, he kills the droid commander and Anakin Skywalker turns to the dark side and obliterates the Jedi Order. But what if, instead of Obi Wan going to Utapau, Anakin was sent to fight Grievous? Hey guys, just to let you know about our Christmas sale, we are doing 15% off store-wide with code CHRISTMAS. Order before the 8th of December to guarantee your order arrives for Christmas Day. But if that isn't a priority, we will keep the sale running until the 25th of December. Now back to the video. Let's start today's story in the council chambers as Anakin informs the council that Palpatine has requested that he lead the campaign to Utapau. In the original timeline, the council completely disregarded this. But it's always been my opinion that they only hated the idea because it came from Palpatine. If another Jedi Master, say Plo Koon, was the one who mentioned Anakin going instead of Kenobi, then it would have been taken more seriously. I mean, realistically, Anakin was the chosen one and he was one of the most well-respected Jedi generals during the Clone Wars. So let's say now that the council votes in favor of sending Anakin and the 501st to Utapau. As they descend upon the desolate planet, Anakin would make contact with the Poe-ans who confirm that Grievous is there. Just as Obi-Wan did in Revenge of the Sith, Anakin will prepare his army, locate the exact location of Grievous, and strike. He leaps in front of the droid commander, sarcastically joking that he's shorter than he expected. Grievous scoffs and ignites all 4 lightsabers, ready to kill the Jedi Knight. As the two engage in a fierce lightsaber battle, swinging with all of their might, the 501st rush the droids and the Battle of Utapau begins. Anakin had never fought Grievous one-on-one, and his aggressive and weak defenses reminded the Jedi of his own fighting style. Grievous was an uncomfortable opponent, and his 4 sabers created an array of issues unlike anything Skywalker had faced before. He had familiarized himself with fighting double-bladed opponents like Maul, or even wielders who elect to use 2 sabers instead of 1. Back at the temple, you can set the training droids to whatever setting you like, and Anakin always loved testing himself and showing off in front of the other Jedi when he would disarm double-bladed opponents. But Grievous was different. He was a machine and he fought with hate and anger. Grievous's only desire was adding another saber to his collection. As the fight continued and they made their way to the hangar bay, the scorching heat of Utapau only affected Anakin. However, Anakin began to understand the droid's fighting style. Grievous liked to parry with one hand and stab with the other. To counter this, Anakin ducked under the general's first swing before slicing his blade across the droid's forearm, slicing 2 of his hands in one motion. Grievous stumbled back as Anakin pressed forward, his determination thickening. As Grievous mounted his defenses, it was too late, and Anakin had already discovered how to defeat him as he sliced through the droid's defenses and killed General Grievous. As Anakin stands over the body of Grievous, he knows that this was a monumental victory for the Republic. He rejoins his army as they push forward and destroy the remaining clones. Without Grievous leading the battle and Republic reinforcements arriving soon after, the Battle of Utapau was over. Anakin would contact the council and inform them of his victory, much to their elation. In this timeline, Palpatine wouldn't execute Order 66 as quickly as Anakin hadn't turned to the dark side. He was off-world. In Revenge of the Sith, after Obi-Wan killed Grievous, he then had to face the betrayal of the 212th Attack Battalion. But now Anakin and the 501st would finish the campaign and return to Coruscant. As Anakin stands on the bridge of the Republic cruiser, the 501st clone commander, Jesse, would ask the general if anything was bothering him. Jesse had known General Skywalker for the entire war. They had built trust and rapport unlike any other. Anakin had fought the Battle of Utapau with a sense of urgency. He needed to return to Coruscant to be with his wife, to protect her from his nightmares. He would tell Jesse that he is okay, that he's tired from the battle. But as the clone left, Anakin shut his eyes where he saw the image of his wife dying in childbirth. He knew he was returning to a place of pain and stress, and that the coming days would be tough. But he would do anything to assure his wife's safety. Anakin returns to Coruscant around the same time that Ahsoka does with Maul in captivity. Without Order 66, there was nothing stopping the Togruta from easily bringing Maul back to the Republic capital. Anakin would congratulate his old apprentice on beating Maul, a task not every Jedi could. Ahsoka would attribute her victory to her master's incredible training, but even Anakin knew that wasn't true. Ahsoka was special, unlike any other Jedi her age. Anakin and Ahsoka would address the council together, like the old times. This was a monumental day for the Republic. Grievous and Maul both defeated. After the session, Ahsoka couldn't help but feel that Anakin was agitated and something was off. She would try and comfort Anakin, feeling confused as to why he is upset after such a victorious day. They stared out of the windows at the Jedi Temple to the city beyond. As wondrous speeders and spacecrafts fly past the large temple, Obi Wan would approach from behind with the same queries as Ahsoka, explaining that he could sense Anakin's thoughts elsewhere during the session. He was physically present at the meeting, but his mind was on another planet. Anakin was cornered by the two people he trusted and cared most about in the galaxy, other than Padme, of course. At first, Anakin would deny anything they said, but the two Jedi weren't just randoms. They were his best friends and knew him better than anyone. They pressed forward, probing his mind to uncover his secrets. At this moment, Anakin would tell Obi Wan and Ahsoka everything. The two Jedi already had strong inclinations as to Anakin's relationship status, but they didn't expect him to say that Padme was dying in his Force visions. This was very worrying, and Ahsoka, who was one of Padme's closest friends, took the blunt of the force of this news stronger than Obi Wan. Padme was still a little while away from giving birth. After Anakin choked her in the original timeline, she was thrusted into labor, but since that hasn't happened here, they have a little more time. Kenobi stroked his beard as he told his apprentice that he will take him to the restricted section to see if they can find anything. This was unlike Obi Wan, stretching the rules of the Jedi Code, but in his mind, this was for the betterment of the Jedi. As if Anakin lost Padme, or the Council found out about his relationship, the Chosen One would be thrown into turmoil right at the pivotal point of the Clone Wars, when his skills were desperately needed. They go to the restricted section and search for hours on end, reading everything they could, but ultimately they find nothing. Kenobi didn't lead Anakin to the dark side part of the restricted section. He would only allow his friend to search the restricted Jedi archives, believing that being exposed to dark side teachings prior to becoming a master will do more bad than good. Nothing of substance was located, except texts of Force visions that say that they aren't set in stone, but instead one possibility out of thousands. This showed Anakin that he could save her, and Padme's future wasn't absolute. Although this reassured Skywalker, his fear was just as great. The following day, after being back on Coruscant for a few days, Anakin was called into Palpatine's office. This would go the same as in Revenge of the Sith. Palpatine didn't know that he had confided in Obi Wan or Ahsoka. In his mind, Anakin was overwhelmed by the nightmares of Padme, and his trust and belief in the Jedi were faltering. He believed that he wanted something different, something more powerful and free. And while the Sith Lord may not be totally wrong in his inclinations, the fact that Anakin had confided in Tano and Kenobi had changed everything. After learning Palpatine's identity as the Sith Lord, Anakin would tell his master and apprentice instead of Mace Windu. The two couldn't believe it. Ahsoka and Obi Wan would have conflicting feelings. On the one hand, Kenobi was a loyal Jedi who believed in the Jedi Code, and that the Jedi stood for peace and prosperity and would do anything for the Republic. But Ahsoka's trust in the Jedi had been shaken, and her belief that they could execute on what was morally right wasn't absolute. This is why she left the Order in the first place. Ultimately, Kenobi's thoughts would prevail, and he would tell Anakin that the only thing they can do is tell the Jedi Council immediately. Any other move is pure idiocracy. And so, the three of them go to the council chambers where Anakin tells the council what Palpatine just told him. Their worst fears had been realized. The Chosen One and his friends left out the parts of Padme, pledging to keep his secret. Windu wanted to go to Palpatine immediately, to catch him off guard and end his reign of terror. This received nods from everyone in the room. But then Grandmaster Yoda chimed in, who was currently projected as a hologram from Kashyyyk. While he agreed they needed to attack the Sith Lord right away, he explained that the Jedi killing the Chancellor of the Republic without any tangible proof will lead to a civil war. Because of this, he told them to bring a hollow recording device with them and to assure that Palpatine confessed to his crimes before they attacked him. Yoda would have preferred to be there to help them, but he understands that every second they waited risked Palpatine getting away or becoming suspicious that Anakin had been gone so long and putting more protective measures in place to ensure his safety. Those on Coruscant went to Palpatine's office. This included Mace Windu, Obi Wan, Anakin, Ahsoka, Shakti, Agen Kola, Saesee Tiin, and Kit Fisto. As they arrive at the Republic Executive Building, Palpatine can sense the combined force essences of dozens of powerful Jedi. Palpatine welcomes them. He knows why they are here, and he can see Anakin arrive behind them all. Before Windu speaks, he activates the recording device. Windu announces that Palpatine is under arrest. As the Chancellor hears this, he rises to his feet, anger and hate spitting from his being. He declares that they don't have the authority to arrest him. He is the Senate, the most powerful man in the galaxy. Anakin chimes in and tells Palpatine that he will pay for what he has done. But then Palpatine looks at the council, his arrogance taking over as he recalls the last 4 decades in his mind. He tells them they don't understand the extent to his victory. He is the Sith Lord. He orchestrated the Clone Wars, and it is because of him that the galaxy has been plunged into a state of agony. That was what they needed. This was enough to put him away forever. In unison, the entire Jedi Council ignites their sabers. Palpatine begins to cackle as he hears the glass behind him shatter and a dark figure leaps through, pulling a hilt from his belt and igniting a double-bladed red lightsaber. He removes his hood to reveal Maul. Palpatine explained that he paid his old friend a visit in prison last night. His release could be organized if he helped him in this fight. The fight begins as Palpatine blasts lightning towards the council and Maul leaps into the air, slicing Agen Kola and Saesee Tiin to the floor immediately. Shakti, Fisto, Kenobi and Tano engage Maul, swinging with all of their might. The Sith's double-bladed saber allowed him to fend off multiple opponents at once, whilst providing counter-attack opportunities. This combined with his Form 4 acrobatic style allowed for a deadly combo. As Shakti lunged forward, Maul added yet another death count to her ever-growing list of deaths in Star Wars. As Fisto believed he saw an opening, he swung for Maul's head, only to find the Zabrak's blade plunge through his heart. On the other side of the room, Anakin and Windu fight Palpatine. He was stronger than anyone either Jedi had ever faced. He knew all 7 forms of lightsaber combat, and he made sure to show this off during the fight. He started with Form 1, moving to Form 2 and then to Anakin's form Dem So. His arrogance was through the roof. He ensured to never switch to Form 3. He didn't want the Jedi to even think for a second he was fighting on the defensive. He was fast, moving like a blur and casting lightning from his fingertips. Skywalker struggled to keep up, but he recognized that Windu was operating just fine and that he should allow him to take the lead. Windu fought with his variant of Form 7, the Pod, which allowed him to render the dark side powers of Palpatine useless and make the fight an even playing field. As Ahsoka and Kenobi combined their attacks, they worked together to defeat Maul. While Maul was extremely powerful, he was unmatched against the Jedi. These were the only 2 Force users in the galaxy to ever beat him, and now they were working together. Maul stood no chance, and Kenobi delivered the final strike, killing him. They quickly rejoined Anakin and Mace in their deadly fight against Sidious. Sensing them coming, Palpatine blasts Ahsoka with lightning and lifts Kenobi into the air, choking him with the Force. As Windu goes to help his friend, Palpatine breaks the connection with Kenobi, and in one swift strike, he stabs Windu's leg and chops Obi-Wan's arm off. Anakin quickly engages Sidious to ensure he can't deliver a fatal strike on either of them. The Dark Lord laughs and tells Skywalker that he chose the wrong side. Soon, every Jedi will be dead, and then he will personally pay Miss Amidala a visit and complete what he should have done months ago. This enrages Anakin, and he reaches a level of power never harnessed before. Mentioning his wife is a one-way ticket to Anakin unlocking his chosen one powers. As he begins to attack Sidious with everything he has, Ahsoka rejoins the fight, and from the ground, Windu uses the Force to disrupt Sidious's movement. He couldn't help but stumble, and his defenses faltered. Anakin knocks Sidious to the floor and defeated him. Windu tosses Anakin Force handcuffs to place around his wrists to ensure the Dark Lord can't use the Force. They had won. The following day, as Yoda arrives, Palpatine is put on trial. This was one of the largest political events in the history of the Republic. Palpatine was loved by all. Everyone truly believed he was the best Chancellor they had ever had. The notion that he was secretly evil was almost imperceivable for most. As Grand Master, Yoda does the speaking and explains to the Senate who Palpatine truly was and how he was behind the Clone Wars. A long list of crimes were presented on behalf of Palpatine, all directly relating the deaths of trillions of people. As the Senate struggled to accept the truth that they couldn't avoid, Yoda presents the evidence of Palpatine admitting to this, and how he was the Sith Lord. While it is not a crime to be a Sith, it is a crime to be the sole cause of trillions of deaths. Palpatine is sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. And so, the Republic wins the Clone Wars. The Jedi were extremely happy, and after years of fighting, they finally restored peace to the galaxy. Anakin thanked Obi Wan and Ahsoka for their help. If it wasn't for them, he would never have been able to persevere through the dreams of Padme dying. Ultimately, Ahsoka saw that the Jedi were changing, and that they were going back to their roots of existing solely for the purpose of helping the people of the galaxy. Because of this, she decides to rejoin the Jedi Order, and very soon, she would take the trials to become a Jedi Master and to join the Jedi Council. As for Anakin, after the defeat of Palpatine, he was granted the rank of Master by Windu, who acknowledged his power and status as the Chosen One, and thanked him for all of his help. The Jedi couldn't have won the war without him. The Order still had no idea about Padme, and Kenobi and Tano would ensure it remained like that. Anakin finally had everything he ever wanted. The dreaded day of Padme giving birth would arrive, and she would remain healthy and survive, much to Anakin's surprise. But he was now extremely happy that he had everything, and that everything had turned out okay. Anakin and Padme couldn't be happier, and they lived happily ever after. If you enjoyed today's video, you must watch What If Windu Went with Obi Wan to Utapau, and What If Anakin Became the Supreme Chancellor. Please check out our saber shop, Fantasy Sabers, for the largest collection of replicas, Padawan sabers, and more. The link is first in the description. Thank you all for watching, and may the Force be with you.